Rookie draft season is the perfect time to move assets off your roster. More importantly, there are rookie ADPs that you can exploit, and we're going to talk about them right here with 4 vets and 4 rookies to sell off your dynasty rosters right here on the Fast Draft channel. We're going to jump right into it. George Pickens was just traded to the Cowboys, which means it's the perfect opportunity to get him off your roster. I know a lot of you are going to be excited, but let's just face it, he is still going to be the wide receiver 2. Moreover, we're not sure on how good this offense is going to be now that they have Brian Schottenheimer. I will say that this is better than the Steelers for Pickens, but he's still not the type of asset that I want to keep on my roster, and I don't really love how inconsistent and boom and bust that he is. More importantly, if you have CeeDee Lamb, you have to be incredibly excited because now George Pickens could go play out wide, flexed out at X, so Lamb could stay at home in the slot more often than not, or off ball where he's really effective at getting open and racking up those PPR points. I know right now in our Flex 4, his ADP is wide receiver 37. I'm going to let someone else take him at that spot and probably take almost any other player around that ADP range. One of those landmines that I think that expectations and situation are doing a lot more than the actual reality of the outcome. I know he's our dynasty wide receiver 27 on Player Profiler, and in redraft wide receiver 74. If you have that big of a discrepancy in redraft and dynasty, you probably want to lower your dynasty value because people are going to lose a lot of interest or get sour if that redraft ADP pays off at wide receiver 74 and not at 27 like we expect in dynasty. Meaning that you're holding on to sinking risk, and you can get them off your roster now, maybe trade back into rookie drafts or find a way to get some picks to diversify and maybe get yourself something a little bit more stable in the long run. Another thing, and this is a freebie, this is going to be great for DK. I'm not saying go out and buy him, but you have to feel good that he's going to get several targets and be the wide receiver 1, because all the buzz about Roman Wilson, that's another one I'd probably want to sell off my roster before I keep him on mine. George Pickens, great for fantasy, maybe not so great for the NFL for every player, but George Pickens. Next, over to the rookies, Tyler Warren. Again, I've talked about him several times on several podcasts. It's not about him as a player. It's not that I think that he sucks. I just have a problem with him being a Colt. They haven't had their quarterback situation figured out yet, and there are a lot of pieces on that team. Michael Pittman, Adonai Mitchell, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. That's not nothing. I know a lot of people don't expect a lot of them, but that's not their fault. It's not the weapons' fault. It's the quarterback situation. So when you have all these weapons that you expect more out of and they're not getting production, what do you expect Tyler Warren to come in there and do? We need Anthony Richardson to take a step forward. We need maybe Daniel Jones to take a step forward, or Riley Leonard, who they drafted super late and a lot of people didn't even expect to be drafted, is in that room now. Do you really expect him to make another leap and take over the roster? Let's put it this way. If Riley Leonard's the one that's starting, you definitely don't want any part of this Colts offense outside of maybe Jonathan Taylor, who I'd be concerned about getting a lot of touchdowns if they can't move the ball. If I'm in a rookie draft, I want to trade back, or I'm going to be taking Colston Loveland ahead of him if I really need tight end. Trading back can get you day 2, specifically round 2 tight ends like Mason Taylor and Terrence Ferguson, who probably have the same upside. Now, here's the caveat that I want to give with Tyler Warren. You don't want him right now at his current ADP. In our Origins tournament on Fast Draft, he's our Dynasty tight end 4, redraft tight end 7. I'm going to be honest, those are probably fair if you think about the talent in a vacuum. But what you want to do is let someone else draft him, and then you could probably buy him a lot cheaper later. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. A lot of people want to make the comparison to Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a lot more wide receiver than he is tight end, and Tyler Warren's big attraction happens to be that blocking along with the receiving work. Not quite the same players. Moreover, the Raiders didn't have the myriad of options to throw to like the Colts did. Let someone else worry about that value tanking and then pick him up in year 2 so we can expect maybe a Trey McBride like year 2 leap out of him. And you keep hearing me bring it up. we have our Origins Gamma tournament going on right now where you could draft real rookies, not just a mock draft, not just a rookie draft, and you could play for real money. You draft 6 players, 6 rookies to be exact, and you start 4 in a best ball format. It's incredibly fun, especially if you're one of these dynasty junkies. This is the best ball tournament for you. We got other stuff going on like Flex Forward. We have other big tournaments. More importantly, if you want more content like this, we're not just talking best ball. As you can see, we're talking redraft, we're talking dynasty, we're just talking playing football. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll have more content coming your way right here on the Fast Draft channel. Back to the vets. DJ Moore. Now, this has been a hot take, more or less between 50% of the people. I personally want to move off DJ Moore, and I specifically want to go and get Luther Burden. Tabula rasa. Make that my catchphrase because I keep bringing it up on this podcast. That means clean slate. So now that we have Ben Johnson coming in here, and a lot of his comments that he's made makes a suggestion that he's not really happy with what he's seen out of the Bears. Specifically, when you think about how DJ Moore walked through his routes, gave up on balls, really didn't try, really didn't block. And then when you think of the system that Ben Johnson made and the culture that he come from with the Lions where everybody blocks, everyone plays hard, you could see where he may have gotten the ick with DJ Moore. Now, I think we've seen his ceiling more or less as well. And right now, his Flex 4 ADP, a little bit high. Player profile, Dynasty wide receiver 21. Player profile, redraft 16. Both of those are too high for me. And especially if you're going to be drafting him to have a low-end wide receiver one season in redraft, I think you are expecting best case scenario out of him. When you consider that Colson Loveland and Luther Burden is in town and a new coach doesn't sound happy, it seems like the beginning for the end for DJ Moore because we've been holding on to this bag for a long time. Not something that I really want on my roster at this point. And again, if you can get Luther Burden, maybe another pick along with that, I think that's a huge win because you have a player with a similar profile who could do the similar things in this system who's likely going to end up being the starter sooner than later. I know the Bears have sunk a lot of cash into DJ Moore, but you got to consider that Ryan Poles is on the hot seat and he's just willing to do whatever his genius head coach wants to win. And I think DJ Moore has a bigger trade market than some of these other wide receivers that we've seen here. He may not be a Bear anymore. He may play somewhere else. And that's not really something I want to gamble because he may be going to another spot that doesn't have the quarterback, or they're hoping it's a young quarterback that's going to make a second year leap. I know that's the same with Caleb Williams, but you feel a lot better that Caleb Williams has Ben Johnson at this point. And you got to remember what type of player that we expected when he came in for the draft. Now back to another rookie. It's Cam Ward. It's just almost the same situation as Tyler Warren. Right now, Origins ADP 2, that is reasonable when you consider you only have 4 rookies and is a QB. You want that upside on your roster. I don't think that should move. But as a dynasty wide receiver 21, redraft QB 15, that is massive expectations for someone who's going on a Titans roster with Calvin Ridley as a wide receiver 1 and a lot of question marks outside of that. I like Elick Ayermanor. A lot of his fall was apparently to injury, but we can't be so sure that he's ready, and he did fall. So when you consider all the weapons that are around there, we have another situation where it might be cheaper just to get Cam Ward later than it is to keep him on your roster or to roster him right now. We could see a Bryce Young type season where we're used to seeing like Jaden Daniels and some of these other quarterbacks light it up. But if he doesn't do that year one, that's going to plummet his value, and they might be able to play for a higher pick or bring in another wide receiver in year 2. So you could buy the dip and profit, whereas you're probably buying at the best case scenario right now. Do I like Cam Ward? I think he could play. I do think that it matters that not a lot of people are willing to make offers to trade up for him. And this is a weak quarterback class. I would just be mindful of the player that you're going to be buying. And I might send that pick to go get someone else like Trevor Lawrence. And I know this sounds crazy, Justin Fields. You could probably get Justin Fields plus and go get Cam Ward in the offseason after year 1 and maybe profit. I know a lot of people are sour on Fields, but if you look at what the Steelers has done, I don't think you could really count that as a failure on his part, and more like the Steelers failed themselves by not investing heavier in Justin Fields and putting in Russell Wilson when he clearly had lost it and was a huge reason why they flopped towards the tail end of the season. Once Cam Ward gets more weapons around him, maybe even a new coaching staff, because I'm not convinced that Brian Callahan's a guy, we could see this type of ADP pay off because, again, you have him at QB 15 and he doesn't have a lot of rushing under his belt. That's bold. I might be looking elsewhere and, again, buying later. Now we have Jordan Addison. I think it says a lot that the Vikings only had 5 picks. They didn't have a second rounder. And then in the third round, when it's their second pick of the draft, they choose Ty Felton, who had an excellent season with Maryland, had a great RAS of 9.6. That's a relative athletic score for those who don't know. And then Jordan Addison has had a lot of off the field issues. And let's just face it, is a clear wide receiver too. If you're expecting a 1A, 1B situation out of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison when you drafted Addison, I think it's pretty much just a wide receiver 1 and a clear 2 that will only produce in the best case scenario that Justin Jefferson is gone. Now, do I think that Addison can go to another team and be productive? For sure. I just don't think we're going to see any wide receiver 1 seasons out of him. And I do think right now we're at risk of seeing that value drop if Ty Felton starts getting more targets. I know TJ Hawkinson didn't play a lot of last season, so him coming in and earning targets at a higher rate early on in the season is really going to tank that value. I kind of want to send Jordan Addison somewhere else, maybe pick up some draft picks, maybe pick up some of these falling wide receivers like Matthew Golden or Luther Burden. I know I've compared Matthew Golden to Jordan Addison, but if I can get Matthew Golden plus for an established player on an offense that a lot of people expect big things from, I'm going to do that and profit and get as much value out of this player as I can. Again, guys, it's all about acquiring value and being reasonable. It's not about the player. It's about the ADP. Jordan Addison, moving him off my roster. Next, it's Jaxson Dart. I get his origins ADP of 13. That's a gamble. If he plays, that's going to more than pay off. If he doesn't, you're probably eating a lot of sunk cost for players that had a lot more upside for that pick in a best ball tournament like Fast Draft Origins. Player profiles are QB 25. In Dynasty and Redraft, he is 35. This is more about where he's going in rookie drafts, where it kind of matches Origins, and he's going at the top of the second round, sometimes even the bottom of the first round. That's a bit too high to me for someone who may not start year 1 and we're not even sure is great. Again, this is a poor QB class, so some of these guys who rise up, it's because teams are reaching because of need and there's a lack of availability. Not always because they're good. I'm not saying he's Kenny Pickett, but this is what happened with Kenny Pickett, and a lot of folks were excited. And then now what you're looking at is a backup quarterback for the Browns. Again, I think that Brian Daboll may have gotten his guy. I know he liked him a lot, but we don't know if he's going to develop, and we can't just expect that. So taking him that highly, especially in this deep of a draft class and around guys who I think have a lot more natural talent and could have more opportunities to actually provide for your roster and have upside to win your league and not just kind of be a roster clogger, I'm going to go there. And if anyone's going to reach up for Jaxson Dart, I will gladly trade back and go get some of these other assets. This isn't so much that I hate Jaxson Dart. I just think that he is risky for the cost that we're paying for him. And maybe even if we do get a payoff, we're going to wait on it. This is another one you could probably buy cheaper later. Let someone else handle Jaxson Dart. Reassess this time next year. This is an obvious one, but maybe not for everyone. Joe Mixon. It says a lot and means a lot that Woody Marks, yes, he got drafted on day 3, but they used day 2 draft capital to go bring him in. Where this is different from Jalen Wright was coming onto a team that had a young guy like Devon Achane. We know that Joe Mixon is cooked. We expect him to drop in value. A lot of what's been holding him up is the fact that he just gets fed volume and not that he's actually a great player. He did play well for the Texans early on, but this is what happens with a lot of these older backs. They start the season well, and as it goes on, we start to see father time catch up. I want Woody Marks in all my rookie drafts. I want him even in like our Origins tournament in best ball, even in redraft, I'd be willing to pick up some Woody Marks because I'm willing to bet that Joe Mixon doesn't keep that high volume all season long. Now's the time, if people think that he was safe because they didn't draft a day two back, to get him off your roster and get any type of value from Joe Mixon before it's too late. Lastly, Tre Harris. I know it feels like I've poo-pooed on Tre Harris any chance that I've gotten, but I will say it again. I think he is a better NFL player than he might be for fantasy, meaning he's going to be playing a lot of sacrificial X, and Ladd McConkey should still see a healthy target share. I even think this makes it a lot easier for Quentin Johnston to get targets because he's not asked to play downfield. He could play closer to the line of scrimmage and get those yak yards like he's good at. If a lot of people think that Tre Harris is going to come in and perform better than Ladd McConkey, I think that you're sorely mistaken when you think of how great of a player that Ladd McConkey was year one and the route chops that we saw even when he was at Georgia in a limited capacity. Moreover, he's almost the exact same size as Garrett Wilson, but maybe a few pounds lighter, and they have the same profile. So I think he could play a little bit more outside. A lot of this, again, comes down to his fast draft Origins ADP of 14, little high for me. There's some of these other rookies that I like more around that ADP. Dynasty wide receiver 40, no thanks. Redraft wide receiver 55, sure as heck no. I'm going to go somewhere else and let someone else take that risk on and maybe take on one of these vets that I at least know could count on production, or some of these other rookies who are falling, like Jack Besh. If someone's super high on Tre Harris, let them trade up for him. You go get Jack Besh later. Come back right here and thank me later. And that's where I'm going to end it, folks. Again, like and subscribe if you want more content like this. I'll keep you updated on all fast draft tournaments or any other promos that we have going on. I have my promo code right here on the screen. There's so many ways for you to play. I'll have a lot more content coming for you, and we're about to head into full-blown best ball season. So there's going to be a lot more redraft focused content coming your way. As always, I'm Jagger May. Love you, and I'll see you on the next one.
So I thought I needed.